Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending the Lightology virtual job fair event. I would like to introduce you to Jeremy. Jeremy will tell you about his company, job openings, and how to go about applying for those openings. Jeremy, are you available to present?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Good morning or hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Estevez. I am a recruiter for Lightology. Lightology is a lighting company who basically we source and ship from around the company, or around the world, I should say. We are Chicago based, and we have several different locations. One of them is located on Fullerton. One is located on Chicago Avenue. And we have a third location, which is our sister company, which is located in Skokie. The mission of Lightology is to be the foremost lighting retailer, offering the widest variety of vendors, artful designs, and cutting-edge technology, and we like to educate our customers along the way. So it's not just about creating the product, it's not just about selling the product, it's about giving our customers a product that we stand behind and educating them about our products as well. The company is owned by Gregory Kay. He's always had an interest in lighting from an early age. He is a master electrician, and he got his start back in the 1970s. He's always been inspired by that art and culture of that time, and his creativity has spawned from his days as a lighting specialist at a roller disco. It ignited that entrepreneurial drive that he still has to this day, and it has led to numerous award-winning lighting brands, cutting-edge designs, and our crown jewel, which is the showroom on Chicago Avenue in downtown Chicago, or just outside of downtown. Lightology Greg has owned several companies. This is not his first. He actually started out owning a company that's still around today by the name of Tech Lighting back in 1983. He did sell that one because he wanted to go in a slightly different direction. However, he founded Lightology and opened our award-winning 3-story showroom in the River North District. 2002, we launched the e-commerce platform, and it was one of the first of its kind. It's actually around the time Amazon became who Amazon is, or started to build up to who they are. In 2003, we opened our garden rooftop. It was in the heart of River North. In 2004, we created a learning center on the 3rd floor. So like I said, our mission is to also educate our customers. So we have a learning center so that people can go in. We host classes sometimes with customers, sometimes with lighting resellers or salespeople. And then back in 2005, River North elected Lightology as the best retailer and design resource. Jumping up to 2010, Residential Lighting Magazine elected Lightology as the showroom of the year. So we've had numerous awards. And then in 2016, we opened what we call is our Morpheus room on the 2nd floor of the showroom. It's an interactive and futuristic space. It highlights the most cutting edge LED technology and lighting controls. So just as an example, that window that you see in that slide is not actually a window, it's actually computer generated. So it's to give the illusion that there's a window when you don't have the capability of having a window in a room. And it can be used for other things as well. 2017, to combat the Chicago winters, we opened an indoor-outdoor gallery on the 1st floor of our showroom. So we have kind of a rainforest cafe type of area as part of the showroom that kind of shows off our outdoor lighting section or some of our outdoor selection. And then 2019, we installed the infinity mirror It's an Instagram-worthy space, complete with color, changing lights, LED lit phrases, and an endless reflection. And then finally, we have several different positions that are available, but these positions are all full-time, and that means that they come with benefits. So we do offer medical, dental, life, vision. We offer a free up to $10,000 life insurance policy, as well as you can do a supplemental life insurance policy. We offer short-term, long-term disability. We have dependent care FSA, healthcare FSA for you as an employee. And because you are local, or you would be a local employee, we do offer Ventura transit benefits. One thing that I did notice that is not on this slide, we do offer 401k, and there is a matching percentage to it as well. So I know I kind of ran through that kind of fast, but did anyone have any questions?
Presentation. Thank you for that, Jeremy. And as Jeremy obviously just stated, do you have any questions for him regarding any of the information obviously that was covered in this presentation, or any questions regarding Lightology in general? Feel free to throw those into the chat. And of course, we'll go ahead and get those answered for you as soon as possible. Jeremy, in the meantime, while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I do have a few questions I'd like to go ahead and ask you, if that's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
Excellent. So Jeremy, in general, can you give folks kind of an idea how long the hiring process will typically take, maybe from the point of submitting an application to actually being extended that offer for hire?
Some of it does depend on the position itself. Some of the higher ranking positions like management or like a lead type of position, if it's posted, some of those may take a little bit longer. The typical, like the warehouse or maybe something that's on the customer service side, from the time that you apply to the time that you could potentially begin or an offer is made, I would say probably 2 to 3 weeks. And then you would probably begin maybe 2 weeks after the offer is made. It just sort of depends on when your background would clear.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jeremy. Jeremy, we did receive a question in the chat.
Sure.
This individual asked if any clerical positions were open. Not sure if you could expand on that maybe.
So I know that they are starting to look, it is posted now, but for a while there, it was kind of put on hold, but it is posted. They are looking for another HR generalist / recruiter, which is my position as well. So they're looking for another person that could step in and potentially help us out on the HR side. Right now, as far as just administrative roles or support roles like that, I don't think that there's anything that's specifically like an admin or support, if that's what you're looking for.
So thank you, Jeremy. And another question that came in through the chat as well. This individual asked where the warehouse is located.
It is located at 1718 West Fullerton in Chicago. It's at our local, or at our headquarters, basically.
Excellent. Thank you, Jeremy. And Jeremy, another question that I do have for you on my end is, how can applicants go about getting any questions that they have answered? Would it be to reach out to you directly? Is there another means that the company has to kind of funnel questions through?
So if you wanted to ask questions, you could reach out to an email address. You could reach out to me directly, or you could reach out to an email address, which is careers@lightology.com.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jeremy. And again, just want to reiterate for anybody that's on the line, if you do have any questions for Jeremy, feel free to enter those into the chat. And of course, we'll go ahead and get them answered for you as soon as possible. Jeremy, in the meantime, again, a few other questions that I'd like to go ahead and ask you. For the positions that you covered here today, are there any sort of baseline educational expectations that you have for the positions?
Well, of course, some of them are a little bit specific, like the electrician. You would need some electrical training, of course. And some of our electrician positions, they sort of borderline into like a hybrid of a handyman sometimes. It just kind of depends on what is needed, but mostly you would be working on electrical work. Um, the accounts manager position, I believe they are looking for you to have a degree, or I would say maybe years and years of experience, or a combination of both. But as far as like the shipping and receiving, sometimes they may, depending on if it's a lead position, they may ask for you to have some warehouse experience. But I know that both the warehouse associate and the shipping and receiving experience is not completely necessary. It's something that could be taught. The only thing is with the warehouse associate, I believe they are actually handling returns. So if you had some type of return experience, it would be preferred.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. And we did receive another question in the chat. Can you kind of expand maybe in general what the shift structure looks like over at Lightology? The question that we received obviously was more in reference to the warehouse. So maybe if you want to touch on that in particular, that'd be great.
Pretty much everyone works the same schedule. So the schedule for the company in general is 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Now, customer facing roles, they have different schedules, but warehouse roles are typically Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. Some weekends, depending on the workload, they may ask for you to work on a Saturday, but you usually know about that in advance.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. And Jeremy, another question for you. It's kind of a generalized one that I'd like to have you answer for the job seekers on the call.
Mhm.
Are there any sort of tips, tricks, pointers that you would maybe like to share with job seekers on the line that might help them stand out and get an interview, assuming they're qualified for the position in which they're applying?
Um, I would say mainly we've gotten applications that sometimes don't have the resume attached, even if it's something that's very basic, that can be a plus. Because sometimes if I have to, as the recruiter, if I have to send your information over to the hiring manager, sometimes I don't have a whole lot of information to send over when you only fill out the application. The only other thing would be, I know that some applicants at times don't respond. So I would just say, kind of be on the lookout for emails, because a lot of times, even if it's not me, if it's me and I don't get a response from you, I would reach out to you via phone. But sometimes the hiring managers will only reach out to you via email, inviting you to come in for an interview or inviting you to a Zoom interview. So I like to tell any candidate to monitor emails closely. And that way it kind of makes you stand out above others.
Great information. Thank you for that, Jeremy. Jeremy, another question that I do have for you is one that actually gets asked quite a bit on the events that I hold. The question is, are there any sort of background checks that are performed by the organization? And if so, would minor misdemeanors or infractions, things of that nature, would those be disqualifying, things for employment with Lightology?
Yes, there is a background check. As far as any type of history that would be on that background check, it's usually handled on a case-by-case basis. So each case is reviewed, as it comes in. So a lot of times that would involve, getting a statement from you, or just reaching out to you to say, this is what came up. Are you aware of it? Can you give us more information about what happened? And things that you are willing to share about it. It's not that we want to pry about it, but we need to kind of know to make a more informed decision. But it's not necessarily, something comes up and we just automatically disqualify you. No.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that information, Jeremy. And again, I want to take a brief pause here and just remind folks, if you do have any questions for Jeremy regarding employment at Lightology, please feel free, to enter those questions into the chat. And of course, we'll go ahead and get those answered for you. Jeremy, while we're waiting for any additional questions to come in, I do have one final question I'd like to go ahead and ask you today, and that is, can you give us maybe a little bit of insight into the opportunities for advancement that there are at Lightology? And not sure how long you've been with the organization, but maybe there is a success story or two that you'd like to share with folks just to give them idea of what the possibilities are.
Of course. So there isn't really a set timeline with Lightology, sorry. There isn't really a set timeline. I've been here since November. I have seen people that I've interviewed come in and they kind of make a name for themselves right away, and they are promoted into a different type of role or a more senior level role within, let's say, a month or two. I actually recently had a person that I interviewed. They started maybe 2 months ago, that is going to school to be an electrician on the weekends. And he basically, we were going to try to promote him into that electrician position, but he doesn't feel ready yet. So he actually turned it down. But, you know, there isn't really a set timeline. There's always, we're growing. So there's always the possibility that, you know, a new position opens up and, you know, we can move someone into it. It may have been something that we were thinking about for a while, but didn't quite execute it yet. And you showed all of the signs that you could take on that position. So, you know, we went ahead and opened that up or something like that. So it's not necessarily geared towards one person or another, but, you know, if there's something that we've been thinking about for a while, and then you show that, then, you know, sometimes that does push upper management to go ahead and open that position up. And sometimes it's taken by the person that was in mind, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes they, like in that example that I just gave, the person may turn it down.
So thank you for that, Jeremy. And Jeremy, we did get another question in the chat. This individual did ask, if you do not have warehouse experience, could you still be considered for the warehouse associate position?
Yes. So the warehouse associate and the shipping and receiving positions are similar. The warehouse associate position, like I said, sometimes they may want you to have experience with returns, but the shipping and receiving position, they work very closely together. So the shipping and receiving position doesn't necessarily have the same requirement. So if you didn't have as strong of a background in the warehouse, I would recommend maybe going for the shipping and receiving, because then you can pick that up and move into that warehouse associate role, which would involve more returns. And that way you're kind of getting your foot in the door and you're able to build, and you already have something to work towards. So that's not, you know, discounting it. The pay rates are the same, so it's not like one or the other. It's not like we're discounting that. Let's say that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy, we did get another question in the chat regarding an application and who those folks should contact if they have any questions regarding the application process or Lightology in general. I know you had given an email, but can you go ahead and maybe provide that into the chat for folks?
Yes, I can add that into the chat now. But the email address is careers@lightology.com.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Jeremy. And it does appear that that is in the chat now. So hopefully that did get your question answered. And again, I just want to take a brief pause here and remind any job seekers on the call, if you do have any other questions, feel free to funnel those into the chat. And of course, we'll go ahead and get those answered for you. Obviously, as you'll see up on your screen there, we do have a QR code. So if you do not have a laptop with the Lightology website pulled up, or the career page pulled up, feel free to take your mobile phone or tablet, any other mobile device, you should be able to pull up your camera and scan that QR code. And that should take you directly to the application page for Lightology if you want to obviously get there in a quick and efficient manner. Jeremy, at this point, I don't see any additional questions coming into the chat. So of course, I want to give you an opportunity to kind of give a concluding statement or any sort of summary remarks that you'd like to give regarding today's session. Are there any takeaways that maybe you'd like to share with job seekers on the line, or just anything about Lightology in general that you feel would be advantageous for folks that are tuning in?
So the one thing about Lightology is that we are growing. Even throughout the pandemic, we have grown. We've had our strongest year since the pandemic has begun. The company is constantly evolving. That's one of the things that the founder is really, really big on. He likes to stay at the forefront of everything. So he's always trying to think of the next big thing so that he can remain relevant when it comes to lighting and design. So we're constantly adding new positions. There are other positions that are on the page, on our career page as well. Some of them are remote, but the positions that we have listed here are the ones that we are really, really looking for. And these are more of the in-person ones, but the remote ones are there as well. So that is something I can recommend, that everyone just check out the career page, as well as if you don't see something that interests you on there today, keep checking, because I'm constantly adding positions onto there. Our management teams have multiple meetings throughout the week and add positions throughout the week as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that information, Jeremy. A couple other things before we go ahead and round out the session here. I do want to draw your attention to the chat. If you are a job seeker, I know the folks that kind of partnered with Lightology and Illinois WorkNet to hold this event have also supplied, their contact information as well. So if there's any sort of career services, information, anything of that nature that you need to connect with before applying to Lightology, feel free to reach out to those folks as well. You'll see we have Noemi there, Lupe and Indira. Their contact information is all in the chat for you as well. And additionally, obviously, Jeremy also supplied the direct email as well to the Careers at Lightology account. So if you do have any questions for Jeremy regarding any sort of application questions, anything in general, feel free to reach out to him as well. So other things that I'd like to note here before we complete our session. So if you did register for this event, we did capture that information, obviously, from the registration page. So I will be forwarding that information on to Jeremy and our employment services partners as well. So they will have your contact information. And then the last thing that I'd like to mention with you folks as well is that the session has been recorded today and it will be uploaded to the Illinois WorkNet YouTube channel under the virtual job fairs playlist within 48 hours at the conclusion of this event. So if you need to go back and refer to any of the information that was covered here by Jeremy today, you will have access to that recording at that time and at that location. Other than that, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining, everybody.
Thank you.